Hey guys, Amanda and I recorded this episode today and we had a ton of fun doing it, but there are some unfortunate bits of noise that happened. I think the microphone was loose and wiggling around in some bits and it makes kind of an uncomfortable bonking sound when it does so. I've done my best to clean it up and make it listenable, but it's still there. It's rare, but you can hear it. Normally I wouldn't want to release it unless there was no trace of the criminal sound, but this episode was just so much fun to record, and by its very nature can't be re-recorded very easily, so you're getting what I could salvage. I still think it sounds pretty good overall, but if you're sensitive to audio stuff, you may just want to skip this one. And if you're sticking around to listen, enjoy, because this one's a wild one.
Hi everybody. I hope everybody's having a good Valentine's Day. Amanda and I get to spend it together since it's on a weekend. And in fact, I have her with me on this episode of Kaiju Bungalow. Say hi, Amanda.
Hi, everybody.
Amanda, tell us what we're doing today.
So, I thought it would be fun for us to do a trivia game. Andrew's going to try to ask me some basic Godzilla questions or questions about movies that we've already covered. And I'm going to try to stump him with the power of the internet.
Yeah, let's see. I fully expect to not do well.
Well, I purposely didn't go for what happened in this movie questions because that would have been too easy.
Yeah, I fully expect to have my Kaiju movie expert card revoked after this. So are we going to take turns asking questions of each other?
I thought that would be best.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Who should go first?
Well, I think I have one more question than you, so I should start.
Okay.
My first question is, what was the first kaiju movie on Mystery Science Theater 3000?
The first Kaiju movie?
Yes.
Not the first Godzilla movie.
Correct.
Okay, I don't know, but my guess is going to be the first Gamera movie.
You're very close. That was the second kaiju movie
What was
on Mystery Science Theater 3000, and it actually aired right after the actual answer, which is Gamera versus Barugon.
Gamera versus Barugon? They played the second Gamera movie before the first?
They did. It aired in 1988. This is the movie that came out in 1966. It aired in 1988 when Mystery Science Theater 3000 was still a local Minneapolis show on a local network. And it didn't move to Comedy Central until 1990.
Yeah.
This was the earliest available episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000 until 2016. And Gamera was actually the next movie they played. They had a run of Gamera movies, and it was a holiday special for some reason. I don't know what's Christmassy about it. I've never seen this movie, so...
Nothing.
Okay. So yeah, this is a Christmas special, and it was the third episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000 that was aired, or the fourth, I can't remember.
But we
which.
don't have the first two?
We didn't for a while, now we do. And there was one that was never aired, and that was like the green slime or something like that was never aired. But
cool.
Yeah.
I've learned things about MST3K.
I found one source that said, and this was like infinitehollywood.com, they said that in the first one aired was the Gamera movie, which every other source said was wrong. But apparently, according to this website, Joel was the only one in the movie theater, the human, during the airing, and he just kind of threw in side comments. It wasn't like the...
It wasn't MST3K.
Yeah, it wasn't like the back and forth that we get now.
Sure. Cool.
Yeah. So I don't know how accurate that last source is, because the premise of it being that Gamera was the first one aired was untrue, but...
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Your turn.
Mine is... I decided to throw you an easy ball.
Oh, thanks.
A slow ball for the first one.
Watch me get it wrong now.
How old is Godzilla this year?
Well, he aired in 1954, so can Amanda do math?
Yep, that's really what this question is.
So 2004 would have been 50 years. 2014 is 60 years. So So 67 years.
67 years this year. His birthday's in November.
Happy birthday, Godzilla.
A while from now.
Yeah.
Your turn.
Okay. I think you might know this one, because I think you've told me about this before. A 1992 Nike ad featured Godzilla doing what?
Oh, he was playing basketball with Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I thought you knew. You told me this about this.
He puts on cool sunglasses, and he has sneakers on, and they fall into a building, and it's great.
I've never seen it. I just read about it. But apparently this was later made into a comic.
Yes.
A full-length comic.
It was.
By Mike Barron, Jeff Butler, and Keith Aiken by Dark Horse Comics in 1993, the year I was born.
I may have it.
Do you?
I have a bunch of Godzilla Dark Horse comics. They're in storage right now. I don't remember if I have that one, but I have a lot of the Dark Horse comics. So, I might have that one.
You have to show this to me.
Yeah.
Well, I want to see him dunking on Charles Barkley.
It might have been the other way around.
Probably.
Yeah.
You can't have Charles Barkley shown up by a dinosaur, maybe?
Yeah.
That doesn't have arms.
Sure. He definitely doesn't have Charles Barkley arms.
Can you imagine a T-Rex dunking?
I can, and I am. Happily. Okay. So, on our show, we have watched Godzilla 1954.
Yes.
Godzilla vs. Megalon.
Yes.
And Yongari, Monster of the Deep.
I remember.
So far. Of all the monsters in those movies, and I am willing to tell you the names of every monster we've seen so far if you want, which do you think is the tallest?
Oh gosh. So I know in the 1954 Godzilla is 50 meters.
Yep.
That part I know.
The answer to this surprised me. I would have gotten it wrong.
Okay. So we watched Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
Godzilla versus Megalon, and Megalon's technically taller because of his horn.
Yep.
Jet Jaguar was in it.
Yeah.
And Yongari. And those are it, right? Those are all the monsters.
Godzilla vs. Megalon also has Gigan, who's the one with the
That's right. That's
hook hands.
I'm going to guess Yongari because he seemed significantly bigger than the buildings that he was around. And I feel like in a movie that's comparing itself to Godzilla, you want to be a little bit better, and that's an easy way for them to say, well, at least ours is taller.
You'd think that.
What is it?
Gigan is the tallest. Gigan is 65 meters when we see him in the movie we saw him in. Yongari's 35.
He's so short.
He's so tiny.
But the buildings seem so small compared to him.
He's arguably the smallest of the kaiju we've seen, but I would say Jet Jaguar is the smallest because he's a person size.
Okay, but when he gets bigger.
But if he could change size to whatever, I just don't count him.
Okay.
I didn't even write down how tall he is because he could just choose.
I have a question. I know King Kong is pretty short. Who's taller, King Kong or Yongari?
If we're talking the original King Kong, I think is like 15 meters tall or something like that.
So Yongari.
He's very short. He's very small.
Are you proud of me?
I am.
Okay. I'm like going out of order here because I didn't want things that were too similar back to back.
That's fair.
Hold on. So here's one you might know. Kingoji or Kingoji, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it. The suit was used in the 1962 movie Godzilla vs. King Kong, where the Kingoji or Kingoji comes from.
Sure.
What was the other movie that this suit was used in?
The Godzilla vs. King Kong suit was used in another movie? It must not have been the main suit that was used. It must have been like they changed it or they only used it for some shots. The next movie would have been Godzilla vs. Mothra. Or Mothra vs. Godzilla. I never remember the order. But it wasn't that. That suit has like the best suit ever. Or that movie has the best suit ever. Godzilla vs. Mothra? Is it that?
That's correct. And that was 100% correct. Because it was only used in about 2 or 3 scenes where they zoomed out for certain shots. There's one where he's tangled up in some webs and they use the Kingoji suit. And there's another one where they zoom in, or they're zoomed out from behind. So there's a couple shots. One of the websites I read, kaijubattle.net.
Yeah. I am familiar.
Yeah, kaijubattle.net said it was also used in a production called Legend of the Super Beast, Wolfman vs. Godzilla, which is a fan movie created by Shizuo Nakajima. But most sources actually say that this is just a really good imitation. It wasn't actually the suit. And they also used an imitation of the suit from Mothra vs. Godzilla.
Cool.
But not the actual suit.
I have not seen the, or is it Godzilla vs. Wolfman? Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
I have not seen that movie yet.
Well, it's either Legend of the Super Beast, Wolfman vs. Godzilla, or Legendary Giant Beast, Wolfman vs. Godzilla, depending on the source.
Depending on how you translate it, I think, is probably.
Yeah, exactly. But it seems like most people agree that it was an imitation of the suit.
All right, I'm doing pretty good so far.
You are, and I had a feeling you'd be able to get that just because what movie was close to the Godzilla vs. King Kong movie.
All right. You're building up my confidence so you can dash it at the end, I assume. Okay. We talked about all the monsters we've seen so far. Who's the heaviest?
Oh, I know we talked about this too. I think it was Megalon because they had to use wires to get him to jump.
So the suit for Megalon is one of the heaviest they ever had.
Oh, you're talking about canonically, which one's the heaviest?
Yes.
Oh, that's a different question.
It is. You would have gotten the other one right, but...
See, I pay attention.
You do. You better.
Okay, let me think.
If anyone's going to pay attention, better be the co-host.
So it can't be Yongari, right? Yongari is half the size of everybody else. Or 2/3 the size.
Yongari is 100 metric tons, if that helps you.
Not at all.
Okay.
I want to say at full size it would be Jet Jaguar because he's made of metal as opposed to the other ones which are made of flesh/chitin. I want to rule out Megalon because you would think chitin is hollow, so therefore lighter. And then, so that leaves Godzilla or
Gigan.
Or Jet Jaguar. Is Jet Jaguar in the running of this?
He's on my list.
Okay. So I will say, I feel like I want to say Jet Jaguar by logic, but I don't think it's him. I'm going to say Godzilla because he's going to be the densest.
I'll take that. But, Godzilla, remember he needs some buoyancy because he's a water creature is how I'm...
Blue whales!
It's how I'm, like, my brain is making it work. Godzilla is 20,000 metric tons.
How much was...
Yongari is 100.
Excuse me?
Yongari is just made of air, apparently. It just, his skin alone should weigh that much. But whatever. So Godzilla's 20k. Next up is Jet Jaguar, who's 25k.
Okay.
Metric tons. Megalon is 40k. And Gigan is 60.
Okay, so my Godzilla versus Gigan being the top two was at least close.
And Gigan does have a bunch of metal in him.
Does he?
Yeah, he's got metal arms, and he's got a buzzsaw, and he's got metal beak. And
I just assumed those were like chitinous as well.
Nope.
That makes sense.
When we get to Godzilla vs. Gigan, we'll see. But he's...
Is he an organic creature? Organic in the sense of, like, was he born or was he human-made?
He certainly not human-made.
I guess he's not organic if he's metal, but I mean...
He's both.
Okay.
He's cybernetic.
Got it.
So he's the tallest and heaviest we've seen so far.
See, that seemed too obvious. I didn't want to answer that after the last one. So... Toho versus Daiei, Godzilla versus Gamera, and never the two shall meet, right? That's just a long-standing thing.
Yeah.
However, they did have a crossover event. Can you tell me about that one?
Wasn't it like a stage production sort of thing? It was kind of like Disney on Ice, but for a bunch of kaiju stuff, and like Ultraman was there too. I remember reading something about this very vaguely.
I don't know about the Ultraman. All the stuff I found was very vague. It just said that in 1970, there was a kaiju stage production.
Oh, yeah.
Where for 10 days, or 10 nights, I should say, they had a stage production of Godzilla versus Gamera, and Godzilla was actually played by Haruo Nakajima.
Probably right before he stopped playing Godzilla in the movies. If it was in the 70s. It was probably one of the last things he did as Godzilla.
And it went from being planned for 3 times a day to once a day because it was so complicated. And it was at an expo.
Yeah, cool. I vaguely remember reading this.
So you got it right.
Yeah. I didn't have the details right. I could have sworn.
But you got that it was a stage production, and that was the most important part.
Yeah.
Because it's you want to assume that it's a movie, but or a TV show or something, but it's not.
And I believe that we have 0 footage of it. Oh no, I think I've actually seen, I think there's maybe 30 seconds of footage of it or something like that. Some ridiculously small amount. This makes me sad. Wish they did it in the days of cell phones.
So you're actually doing a lot better than I thought you would. You might get the last one wrong, because I don't expect it to be in your wheelhouse, but you've gotten 3 of the 4 right so far.
Challenge accepted. Oh, you have 4?
I've done 4.
Oh, you've done 4.
Yeah.
What did I miss?
You missed the first MST3K episode.
Oh, that's right. Okay. My question for you. How many Godzilla movies are there?
In my mind, I feel like it's in the early 30s. I want to say it's 32 or 34. And that this next one's going to make 35. Godzilla vs. King Kong is going to be number 35 or something like that. Are we counting animated movies?
I am counting animated movies.
Okay. My guess is going to be...
And American movies.
34.
You're so close, actually.
What is it?
It's 36.
Damn it. I thought this next one was going to be...
There, and if you don't count American movies, it's 31. Sorry, it's 32 if you don't count American movies. I mean...
I was so close.
You were so close.
I didn't even try to count. I just had a ballpark number in my head from our discussions.
You did really good.
Who was intended to fight Ghibra in Ghibra Horror of the Deep, the 1966 movie?
Ghibra?
How do you pronounce it?
There's no G. It's Ebera.
Ebera?
Mm-hmm.
That's not how it was spelled online.
I'm sorry. That's what it is.
Well.
Okay.
Who was intended to fight Ebera?
King Kong. Yeah. It was originally a King Kong movie, and they brought in Godzilla. And that's why Godzilla acts like King Kong in that movie. He's so sleepy and attracted to women. And
that's literally all I was going to say.
Sorry.
You stole my thunder.
I'm sorry.
It was originally going to be called Godzilla... It was... The American version is called Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster. It was originally going to be called Operation Robinson Crusoe, King Kong vs. Ebera. But Rankin and Bass rejected it because they didn't think it kept close enough to the established lore from the King Kong show. And that's why, like you said, he gains strength from electricity. He's attracted to the female protagonist, Dio. And he attacks Mothra despite being previously friendly with her.
Yeah. It's weird.
They didn't try very hard to adapt it.
No. I think it happened late in the production of it, so... I don't know.
Why would they start production without permission to use the monster? The main monster.
Who owns King Kong has always been very complicated. Toho had their rights to King Kong for a while, so... I don't know. It's weird.
But you think you'd figure that out before you start production? You'd
think. Alright, I have one more question for you.
Okay, go.
And if we were playing for, points, this is where you're going to get tons of points.
Oh, no.
Because this one question is worth up to 36 points.
Excuse me?
Name as many Godzilla movies as you can.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm so mad right now. Oh, gosh. I don't know if I'm going to repeat myself is the problem.
I gotcha.
Okay. Godzilla 1954. There's so many Godzillas. I think there's 3 movies called Godzilla, right?
Godzilla 1954 is one of those, so.
Okay. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Mothra vs. Godzilla. Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, All Monsters Attack. or GMK.
Mm-hmm.
There's Godzilla versus Megalon,
Mm-hmm.
Godzilla versus Megaguirus, Godzilla versus Ibera, Horror of the Deep.
Uh-huh.
The Giant Super Beast, Wolfman versus Godzilla.
That does not count.
It counts, it's a movie, just because you haven't seen it.
It's a fan movie.
By one of the people who worked at Toho.
No. It's not one of the 36.
Give it to me.
No. Non-canonical.
There's Godzilla, the legendary one. Is that one of the 3 Godzilla movies called Godzilla?
Yeah.
The 2004.
4. No. 14.
Whatever.
Something.
The new legendary Godzilla.
Yes.
There's Godzilla King of the Monsters, both the Japanese version from, what, the 60s?
Godzilla King of the Monsters, the original one, is the American version of the first movie.
Oh, so Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is the new legendary one.
Correct.
There, are we counting Godzilla versus Rodan?
Not the name of a movie.
What is it called? Rodan? Rodan versus Godzilla. Does Rodan by himself count? No. Is that a Godzilla movie?
No, I'm not counting.
It has to have Godzilla in it?
Yes.
Okay. I'm like staring at your movie collection even though I can't read them because I'm like willing them to come into my head.
Just to get inspiration.
Yeah. Ooh, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, or Terror of Mechagodzilla.
Terror of Mechagodzilla.
I know that was one of your favorites growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh. I hate this question. Why are you doing this to me? Who else? Oh, Godzilla versus Biollante.
Uh-huh.
Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yeah.
Most of the time you're safe just adding a versus and then a monster.
Godzilla versus the Smog Monster.
Yep.
Who else does he fight? Return of Godzilla, number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's not the second movie, but it is the name of a movie.
What's the second one? The second one is where he fights Baragon.
Anguirus.
Godzilla versus Anguirus? You just gave me a name.
That's not the name of the movie. That's why I gave it to you.
But he does fight... Oh, Baragon's from GMK.
Yeah. But he doesn't get top billing.
Yeah. He was cheated. What is Godzilla versus Rodan called?
There's not a movie where Godzilla just fights Rodan. Rodan's always added on to another fight.
Did I already say Godzilla versus Megaguirus?
You did.
Did I say Godzilla versus Gigan?
You did not.
Yeah.
It's 15.
I got half of them. What are some of the animated ones?
You're missing a very big monster that he has fought.
Oh, Godzilla versus King Ghidorah.
There you go. There you go. I mean, that's not... Okay, yeah, there's a movie called that, yes.
There is.
There is.
There's Ghidorah and then Godzilla versus Ghidorah after, like, right?
So, is that another guess that you just added?
But Ghidorah... Oh, does Ghidorah have Godzilla in it? I just know that's where he's introduced.
Yes. Ghidorah the three-headed monster.
I feel like I cheated on that one, but I'm taking it because I need all the points I can get.
One more and you have half of them.
I can't count the Gamera movies I've seen.
No! Near the twain they shall meet.
Godzilla something point. Share point.
Singular point?
Singular point.
I will give it to you even though it's not part of the 36 because it's not out yet.
Is that a movie or a show?
It's a movie.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a movie.
There's a lot of monsters in it to be a movie.
I'm not sure. I might be wrong about that. Do you want to stop at half?
No.
Or do you want to keep going?
I don't know anymore, but I want to try.
Okay.
Daimajin.
No.
Um.
When you're done, I want to try and say them in order.
Oh, it's so painful.
I don't think I'll be able to, but I'm going to do my best. This is the one I have expected
Godzilla
you to ask
reigns
me.
again?
Godzilla reigns again! That's Godzilla versus Anguirus.
Yeah.
You did it.
I knew it was like an again or returns thing. Like, I knew it sounded like a sequel.
Godzilla reigns again. Or Gigantus
I said
the Fire
reigns,
Monster.
but I'm taking it.
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
I think that's it. I think that's all I really know off the top of my head.
It's pretty good.
There's probably more that you've talked to me about, but I'm not coming up with them now. And I'm still proud of myself for getting at least half.
You should be proud.
Did the count? That does count as half, because even if you don't count Singular Point, which I called SharePoint, I still got Godzilla Raids again.
I've been very lenient with the names that you gave. All right. Let me try and name them in order.
Okay. Wait, let me pull it up so I can confirm.
Okay.
As you go, because I can't confirm whether you're right or not, and I'm not going to catch them, and you're not going to catch them in retrospect, so.
This is a question I've given myself. Give
me a moment. That's a reference just for you and I. And go.
Okay. Is this a list of just the Japanese ones?
Good question. No.
Okay.
It's IMDb.
Okay.
So if I'm wrong, IMDb's wrong, so you guys can't blame me.
Godzilla. Godzilla Raids again. King Kong versus Godzilla.
Hey, why didn't I say that? I'm such an idiot.
Mothra versus Godzilla. Is it Mothra versus Godzilla or Godzilla versus Mothra?
Mothra versus Godzilla.
Mothra gets first billing. Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. Godzilla versus Monster Zero.
Does it have another name?
Godzilla versus the Astro Monster.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, this one's an Invasion of the Astro Monster.
Oh, Invasion of the Astro Monster.
But as long as we're all on the same page on which
Yeah.
movie that is.
Yeah. I just forgot the name of it. Is it Godzilla versus the Sea Monster next?
Yes. AKA Ibra Horror of the Deep.
Exactly. And then it's
I knew this next one too.
Son of Godzilla. And then Destroy All Monsters.
Yes.
All Monsters Attack.
Yes.
Godzilla versus Gigan. No, Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. No. What's next? What am I missing?
Does the Smog Monster have another name?
Hedorah?
Yes.
So it was Smog Monster?
Yeah.
Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. Godzilla versus Gigan.
Mm-hmm.
Godzilla versus Megalon.
Mm-hmm.
Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. Terror of Mechagodzilla. That's all the Showa movies.
It doesn't say that in here because it doesn't have the eras, but sure.
And then we have Return of Godzilla in the 80s.
What's it called? Was there another name?
Godzilla 1985 or whatever.
That's right on the nose. You got it.
Godzilla 1985. Godzilla versus Biollante. Godzilla versus Mothra. No. Yes. Godzilla versus Mothra. No. What did I miss? I missed Godzilla versus King Ghidorah is next.
Yes.
That's right. Because that's when he gets big. Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, then Godzilla versus Mothra, then
also known as Godzilla and Mothra: The Battle for Earth.
Yes, and then Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2.
Yes,
and then Godzilla versus Destroyer. No, Godzilla versus Space Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
Godzilla versus Destroyer, and then the first American movie, which is all caps Godzilla. And then Godzilla 2000, and then Godzilla versus Megaguirus. Episode for that coming to a podcast near you at some point. After Godzilla vs. Megaguirus is GMK, Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack.
Oh, I got it wrong.
You got it close. You just missed the Giant Monsters part.
Well, I said All Out Monsters Attack instead of Giant Monsters All Out Attack.
It's close enough. And then Godzilla X Mechagodzilla.
It says against Mechagodzilla.
Same thing.
But I think you're talking about the same thing, yeah.
And then Tokyo SOS.
Yes.
Godzilla Final Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first legendary Godzilla movie, Godzilla.
I missed this one too. It's literally the first one I've ever seen.
Shin Godzilla.
Yes. I can't believe it. I'm so ashamed.
And then the 3 anime movies, which I do not remember the names of. I don't remember the names of them.
Do you want me to give them to you?
Hold on. The first one is Godzilla no, I don't remember. It's Godzilla Planet Earth? Planet of Monsters. Godzilla Planet of Monsters. And the second one is Godzilla City Mechagodzilla. What was it called?
Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle.
City on the Edge of Battle. Why would I not remember that? And then the third one is Godzilla, the Planet Eater.
Yes.
And then Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
And then this one also lists the one that hasn't come out yet.
So Singular Point and Godzilla versus Kong. It
only lists Godzilla versus Kong, so that leads me to think that Godzilla Singular Point is a show, but I'll have to look that up in a moment.
I don't know if it's a show or not.
I think you missed 2 total. I think you missed the second animated one, and you forgot about Godzilla versus King Ghidorah.
Right.
Like you skipped over that one.
Yeah. I think there was one in the Showa series I missed also. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself.
I can't believe I missed Shin Godzilla and Godzilla vs. King Kong, because we just talked about Godzilla vs. King Kong, and Shin Godzilla always comes up in conversation. It's the first movie I ever saw of the Godzilla movies.
You brought up King Kong twice.
I know, I'm so mad.
You didn't even bring up the new Godzilla vs. Kong.
I know. Well, I wasn't going to count it because it wasn't.
You said Singular Point.
Well, I was thinking that was one of the older animated movies, so thank you.
All right.
I'm looking up whether it's a movie or a show. Television series.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
We were wrong.
That's fine.
Okay.
You still got half right.
Last question for all the money.
For all the money. Is yours also worth 36 points?
Yes. When did Godzilla first appear in American comic books? Because I asked you when it first appeared in comic books the other day, and I'll go over that one again, but when did it first appear in American comic books?
It's Marvel. Marvel is his first American incarnation. What? There's something before Marvel?
Mm-hmm.
Then I have no idea. I'm going to say 1964.
No.
No.
So the first Godzilla comic book appeared in 1954. It was made into a manga. It was made into a comic book to go alongside the movie, and the idea was because the movie was kind of marketed as a horror movie, this was a way of bringing kids into it, and it was actually just as successful as the movie.
Cool.
The 1976 comic book that came out was the first American comic book. It was made by Cinema Shares International Distribution Corporation. According to CBR.com, it was a movie tie-in. It was just 4 pages, and they didn't even give any credits for the artists or anything like that.
Of course.
And it was given for free at theaters. They even got 2 of the characters' names wrong.
What was the name of what was the year?
1976.
So that would have been an American release in 1976. That would have been after the Showa era ended, so I don't really have a good way of guessing what movie tie-in that would have been. I'm going to say it had a theatrical release?
Yes, I believe this was the first.
I don't know. Godzilla versus Megalon.
It doesn't say.
What?
It doesn't say on the place where I got it, so I gotta look.
It's a movie tie-in that doesn't say what movie it ties in with. Those Marvel comics are great, though. J. Jonah Jameson just yelling out of his window at Godzilla to leave the city. Godzilla gets shrunk, so he has to wear a trench coat and a hat and fight bad guys along with the Thing.
Okay, here's the Wikipedia information about it, and I'm going to quote it. The first Godzilla comic published in the United States was actually a small promotional comic in the summer of 1976 as part of the publicity promoting the upcoming U.S. release of the film Godzilla vs. Megalon. So you did get it right. A small 4-page comic book adaptation was published by Cinema Shares International Distribution Corporation and given away for free at movie theaters. The comic featured no credits, the artist and writer are unknown, and featured no cover. It was magazine-sized and published on newsprint. The comic is infamous for getting names of 2 of the major characters wrong, as Jet Jaguar is referred to as Robot Man, and Gigan is referred to as Borodon.
Robot Man is very good. Oh, I really like Robot Man.
At least I understand that one, but Gigan is a name, and they call him Borodan.
Borodan?
Borodan.
I don't know how they would have gotten that name.
Well, clearly you won, even though you gave me 16 points.
18.
18 points for one question. You clearly won because you got, let me count. You got 4 out of 6 right because you missed the first MST3K airing of a kaiju movie, which, I mean, that makes sense.
Sure.
And you didn't know when the first American comic was released.
Sure.
Again, it's such a obscure thing.
Yeah.
So
I want to know how our listeners did if they were playing along. So if you listen to this and you played along, and tell us how many points you got, and do please give yourself points for every movie that you could name. Let us know on Twitter. We're at Island Kaiju on Twitter.
Or you can email us at kaijuislandpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. And have a fantastic rest of your day, everybody.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day and President's Day.
That's tomorrow.